It's still so nostalgic to me. It's still so nostalgic to me. I love that sound. It just makes me happy. Hi, guys. Welcome back for the bonus episode of one of possibly multiple. I don't know how long they go. Of Witch on the Holy Night. There's always bonus stuff after you beat the game. And I mean, we freaking never even met all the characters. We have CGs to unlock. We have stuff. So as such, let's go into the archive and finish up some of the things we need, such as more ploy lessons, which I'm genuinely curious about. And the fact that there's one more space for another book there kind of shows that we definitely have something. I just noticed that that says Caldia on it. Do you see that? That says Caldia. The road home. Oh, because Caldia are stargazers. No, that makes sense. That's not a Fate Grand Order reference. That's a reference to the fact that they're gazing at stars. They renamed that chapter for a very obvious reason. Okay, let's go. The Wonderful World of Ploys. Components, songs, and pigs. Let's go. Let's learn a bit about ploys. What weird costume will she be in today? Oh. It's a little restaurant. Is it a conveyor belt place? It seems to be.
マグロ3種盛り1つ
Oh. Delicious. Wait, that was an egg.
アリスさん、なんすかそれ？なんか見たこともない金色のお皿っすね。
Robin, did you just eat egg? It's a little messed up.
大したことはないわ
That looks incredible. I have to say, if your only experience with sushi is like convenience store sushi or like instant Japanese restaurant sushi, no. You don't know the real experience. Real, like, chef-made sushi, I have to say, it makes the fish taste like fruit. It's so good. Please, I implore you, if you are kind of iffy on sushi, don't try the bad stuff. Go for the top.
普通のと中トロと大トロのセットなだけよ
That's good.
鮮血のトリコロール。フランスの国旗みたいっすね。自分、経済的な理由で卵とイカとイナリしか頼めないっす。
Does kind of, I like that. The French flag, that's good. I like it.
シェフ中トロをもう一度
That was squid.
また赤いのっすか？光り物とか白身とかいかないんすか？イワシとかカンパチとかいけるっすよ。
Not a fan of sardine myself.
シェフ大トロをもう一度
Jeez. That's
そ
the
の
yeah, the
3
tofu
冊でい
roll.
つもの夕食1回分の値段なんすね。サーモンで妥協とかしないんすか？
John Skinner, that's some dinner.
大したことはないわシェフ大トロをリピート
初めからマグロしか眼中にないとか、さすがアリスさんっす。高温時財閥の娘は伊達じゃないっすね。
I don't know. I feel like even if I got rich, I'd still want to vary it up. Because if you only ever eat the rich food, you kind of lose track of like the comparison to make.
お金はこういう時に使うのよロビンチャンスで出し渋るのは良くないわ今日は青子のお財布を借りているのだけど
Of course it's blue.
そうっすか、青子さんの。でもそれすぐに空にならないっすか？
Bread and honey,
青
that's
子
some
さん
money.
の財布の中身お寒いっすよ。あの人すぐに物を買うから。
大丈夫備えあればよロビンここにもう一つ温かなお財布があるわ
That was literally just a sonic ring noise. You took that. I mean, it's fine. Technically, Sega makes the Grand Order fighting, Grand Order arcade game, but You can't just steal sound effects. Good sound.
何？
なんでもないっす。アリサは家主、すなわち絶対者。あの8日に住むもので誰が逆らえようか。にしても、あのシャバ像小金持ちっすね。ずっしりくるっすよ、この財布。
Unrelated to that rhyme, bangers and mash is really delicious.
うなる札束ね。ドキドキするわ。
Oh my god, what? The cubes?
赤みが来ないわね。
神座の席で独占しているやつがいるみたいっす。緑色のコートで、メガネで、麻雀牌を積もるような優雅さで2巻ペロリと。
So she's the type to take off her shoes at the place. Just an observation.
はいで誰かは言わないんすけど、あれやけ食いっすね。声かけるっすか？
放っておきましょう。誰にだって知り合いに見られたくない時はあるわ。
Okay, we're getting what's with the cubes and the pieces. Oh, I know that one. Are these all the ploys?
アリ
Also
さん、
egg.
お皿取らないっすか？
仕方ないわね。じゃあこれ。
Oh!
おめでとうございます。
Oh my god. They become twinks. I didn't expect this.
ありがとうございます。
I definitely didn't expect this.
誰っすか？てこ入れ？
説明しよ
説明するよ。
う。何を隠そう僕らこそ。
誰が語ろう僕らこそ。
ご主人様の超愛熱い変幻自在のシックスフォース。
Do you actually have 6 forms? If you call yourself that, you better.
哺乳類から鳥類まで完全網羅の高級プロイ。おしゃべり双子とは僕らのこと。
Oh, the pig thing is just a choice.
ああ、全く真っ暗どっちらけ。これじゃあゲームもできやしない。
見る者いなけりゃどんな目だろうと同じこと。賭けの続きは薄墨の鳥の卵が回った後で。
Interesting. If they're seen, then they have use?
あ、今のもしかして豚コンビ？あいつら人間にもなれるっすか？
Butakombi is a great term. I love it.
1の目を出すと人間になるそうよ。詳しくはこう。
Oh, 6 forms because you roll the dice and you get a different one. Okay.
名前はおしゃべり双子。うるさい方がトゥイードルダム。騒がしい方がトゥイードルディ。
Humans, weights, penguins, do-over, pot lids, round shields, pigs. Castanet and stapler. Original form is dice. So what you're saying is if Alice gets into Mihoyo, she could use them as pot lids when she holds back. Got it.
ダイスを振って出た目で変形する。形が変わるプロイね。人間社会に毒されているから普通の魔術が効きやすいのが欠点よ。
一の目とか出したことあるっすか？
私じゃ無理みたい。小豚の姿以外見たこともないもの。
Oh, they're loaded dice.
無理も何もご主人様は清純すぎる。どんなものにも裏はある。僕らは振るにはコツがいる。
そうそう、時にはダーティーに。とかくこの世はイカ様だらけ。ズルをしないとろくの目以外は出ないが定め。
夜の共演がお皿に乗ってやってきたわね。
おなじみのディドルディドルっすね。自分も知ってるっすよ、このマザーグース。
それだけ有名ということよ。ヘイディドルディドル。猫とバイオリン。牛が月を飛び越えた。
Interesting, she's saying it in Japanese. Because, I mean, we always hear it in English.
その面白い光景を見て犬が笑った。そしてお皿はスプーンと逃げた。
It absolutely messes me up because I always heard it as a little dog laughed to see such fun and the dish ran away with the spoon. But apparently that is, you know, a revision.
典型的なマザーグースね。真夜中、猫がバイオリンを弾いて 牛が月を飛び越えて、犬が笑って、擬人化された皿とスプーンが逃げていくだけの歌。
When you break it down like this, it sounds like I'm back in university taking lectures on, children's literature.
一説ではギリシャ、エ
What?
ジプトの神話を元にしたとも言
Oh,
われているわ。
what?
星の運営を表しているのなら、牛はタウルスの文字りでしょう。
And much like my university lectures, my brain is being completely destroyed.
これは使い切りのプロイスね。一回使ったら壊れるっす。アリスさん、そのたびに作ってるっすか？
当然でしょう。ディドルは私の魔術の基本だもの。これを地面に沈めると夜を助長させるの。夜が深まれば
Interesting.
それだけ私の魔術、童話詠唱が確かな意味を持つようになるわ。詳しくはこう。
割と使いどころ限定なプロイスね。アリスさん、都市部じゃ能力半減つうか、森ガールだったんすか。
Okay, so let's see. The original form is a bell. Needs a cat's eye stone and glass. Costs 2 months worth of Sojourner's wages. That's a lot. Creates an area where fairy tales are brought to life. If already active, the effects are doubled. Interesting. Cannot be defended against at night, but weak to light of civilization. Cannot be used in front of a train station. That's a strange stipulation, that last one. I feel like, yeah, the light of civilization, that's kind of cool. Because, yeah, civilization is the antithesis to, like, fairy tale. It really feels like it. Okay, yeah, what's...
これは七種の森ね。これ単体だと意味がないから土台になるものが必要なのだけど、
What was that?
この五水の鏡とセットで使
Oh,
う
the
も
mirror,
の。
yeah.
この鏡は三大プロイにはなれなかったけど、機能的には三大に負けていないわ。詳しくは、基本的には三崎市全体の索敵と洋館内の警備、たまに暴走して洋館内にゲートを作って通る人を鏡の中に招いてしまうのが難点ね。
Alright, so the mirror's in her room and also in the foyer. Old mirror, witch's droplet, manifests as fog. Creates a bounded field, softens and distorts physical laws, and it can just be broken. Okay.
それであのシャバ像が何度死にかけたか。原点は鏡の国のアリスっすね。
そうね。もともとは内側に異世界を持つだけのエンブリオで、
Hmm.
長いこと壊れていたらしいわ。それを母と瞳子さんが協力して作り直した。
なんでそんなことするっすか？前女神だけで十分じゃないっすか。
魔女はそのせいで一つ至高のプロイを残さないといけない決まりがあるから。彼女はこの鏡を作り直して自分の最高傑作にしたかったのよ、きっと。どうかしら。こんな風に五水の鏡の表面を岬の地図にしてその上に駒を
Whoa,
置くと、
that's
そこ
cool.
が七種の森になるの。
Could you imagine if, again, I'm just thinking in terms of fighting games because that's what I am. Could you imagine if this got turned into a thing with her where it's like you place the piece on one like area of the stage and like that area she gets control over? Like imagine it turns in the stage into a grid, like maybe a 3x6 or 3x7 grid, right? And then what you do is you can place the token on it, like in the background, and when you're there, that becomes an area with like a trap in it. That'd be cool.
青子のデビュー戦で使っていたのはこのプロイね。このプロイの効果範囲に来ると、この先に用はないと暗示がかかって人よけになるのだけど、
It just wards people off? Okay.
空気読まないやつには通用しないってことっすね。
Shame. Can't use it on Mario or Garfield.
そうね。私のミスではないけれど配慮が足りなかった。次からは本当に気をつけるわ。気を取り直して次のプロイは
Egg.
自分でも食べられる卵っす。
That's weird, buddy. You create those.
うめえ。卵うめえ。でもなんか腹にたまるっす、この卵。
Butter and jelly, that's in the belly.
消化できないっつうか、なんか体の中心からチクタクチクタク音がするっていうか。
What is that mysterious ticking noise? God. I don't even know if people know about Potter Puppet Pals.
3、
アリスさん、なんで離れるっすか？
2、
なんでかわいそうだけどあと1秒で爆発するのよみたいな目で見るっすか？
1、
助けて。
0。
Wow, bye.
これはスクラッチダンプティね。マザーグースの歌にあるハンプティ・ダンプティをモデルにしたものよ。
Wonder where the scratch comes from in that.
塀に登った卵は危なっかしくて、通りがかった王様が降りろと言っても無視するばかり。怒った王様は兵士たちに命じたけれど、兵士もう好きにしろと疲れた王様は目を離す。その途端に卵は落ちて、見るも無残、聞くも痛快に粉々に砕け散った。油断も後悔も後のお祭り。星のようなかけらたちは王の軍勢をもっても拾いきれない。壊れたものは治らないという偶話ね。はた
Okay.
迷惑なお話だけど。
I want to learn that thing, the question that the idea I've had presented to me many times. There's nothing in the story of Humpty Dumpty that implies he's an egg. Right? Humpty Dumpty, was he an egg? I'm Googling this. The rhyme does not explicitly state the subject is an egg, possibly because it may have been originally posed as a riddle. Interesting. Lewis Carroll was the one who invented him as an egg. Well, that makes sense why this character was in Through the Looking Glass. So yeah, obviously then it's a right, the modern view of Humpty Dumpty being an egg came from Lewis Carroll, which of course makes sense that it is now in, Witch on the Holy Night with Alice, because it all comes back to Lewis Carroll. I'm also seeing things that Humpty Dumpty was the name of a wartime cannon, which, sure, you could believe that, I guess.
ちなみにハンプティが卵型になったのは19世紀半ばから。
I am shocked it's actually bringing this up.
1843年にアリキスというペンネームでマベリー牧師という人がハンプティのパノラマ絵本を書いたのが走り。
I love the fact that I will be like, I don't think this thing will explain it. And every time they do,
ルイス・キャロルのハンプティは
Yep.
それを参考にしたのでしょう。
there we go. Look at this. So Scratch Dumpty original form is a handmade Easter egg. Oak tree brasswork manifestation 10 to 30 times larger, faces the target and sings a song praising its owner. When the song ends, a door opens and the target is locked inside the egg. If the subject takes their eye off the egg during the song, the spell fails, scattering fragments of the curse. When the song ends and a hand comes out the door, avert your eyes. Wow, that is very specific. Empty plates.
今夜は品切れのようね。シェフ、お勘定をお願い。
So Robin's just dead. Goodbye, Robin. Yo, the drip.
次は店中の大トロを残らずいただくわ。
Man, I really like Alice. Oh. Grano sponsor. Okay, whatever, I forget. I'm a little hopped up on drugs, so I don't actually remember what it is. Last one, Bittersweet Magecraft. Ooh. It's gonna be food. These are adorable too. Okay. We see some
あー
things.
せ、今日もワンは働いているっすか、シャバゾウ。これで鳥の餌を1ダースくれ。冷えか麦の一番いいところを頼む。
Why is he on there? Strange. Other than that, are these... Oh, right, the chocolate. That is another one.
いらっ
Cute.
しゃいませ。昼間から買い物なんていい身分ね、ロビン。
アリスさん、なんで店員とかしてるっす？シャバゾウはどこ行ったっすか？
鳥頭のくせに細かいことを気にするのね。今日は私が店番をしているの。何か意見があって？
いや、ないっすけど。あ、ピンときたっすよ。さてはアリスさん、シャバゾウと一緒にアルバイトとかスイーツな子。
Every girl has a sweet tooth. That is the law.
なぜなにプロイ。
Dang.
今回は比較的安全なプロイキッシャーの紹介よ。さあロビン、好きなものを選びなさい。
ケーキショップかと思ったらプロイキッ
Oh,
シャー
Adam
を
and
売ってる
Eve.
闇
That's
市場
believe.
だった。三崎町はほんと地獄っすね。
Misaki's positively mental. It's gone mental. I love what they did with this character writing.
じゃあ右端から順に行くっすか。この宝石箱っぽいやつは何すか？
それは6ペンスの歌。ジャック・イン・ザ・ボックス、シックス・スウィング・チョコレートよ。
Is it a Jack in the Box or is it a box of chocolates? Those are two very, very different things.
地味に見えるけど役に立つプロイね。どこかの
Alright,
誰か
let's
さ
see.
んと
There's a
は大
lot
違い。
here. Alright. 6 Sing chocolates. Storage box. Components chocolate liqueur, cocoa powder, and powdered cocoa butter and powdered bone. Contains 24 familiars, no combat ability, a network of birds that monitor Misaki Town. Birds seek out would-be criminals. Chocolates are infused with magical energies that can be melted down as a first aid. Oh, cool. As a ploy kickshaw, no stronger than normal familiars, it can be even be destroyed with firearms. About 10 fly into power lines and die every day. Rip. Close the box, all birds change back into... Isn't that... Wait, yeah, isn't... wait. What is the sing a song of sixpence, right? That's one of those things that I've heard, but because I'm not British, it never really stuck in with me, right? I didn't even know what sixpence was. Sing a song of sixpence, a bag full of rye, 24 naughty boys baked in a pie. Oh, wait. Wow. Sing a song of sixpence, a pocket full of rye, 24 blackbirds baked in a pie. 4 and 20, that's 24. Wow. So it's little chocolates. Wow, yeah. Okay, interesting. That's a really explicit, connection. Just chocolates instead of
当たり
pie.
前っす。それはすべて有能かつエレガントな使いますから。かくいう自分も6ペースの歌なら知ってるっすよ。鳥つながりで。
Yeah, I didn't.
6
Look
ペ
at
ー
them.
スの歌を歌うっす。ポケットにはいっぱいのライ麦っす。24羽の黒ムクドリ。パイの中に焼き込まれた。
Okay, you probably had to work really hard to get that to work in Japanese, huh?
なぜ意味もなく鳥を虐殺するのかわかんないっす。西欧圏の人間どもは鳥を何だと思っていたのか。
Richard III, that's a bird.
その後はお金の勘定をする王様、こっそり蜂蜜かけたパンを食べる王妃といった歌詞が続くわね。
I've definitely heard this rhyme, but it's never stuck with me.
2番目以降は当時の政治を風刺した歌なんじゃないかしら。
Interesting.
いや、端的に久遠寺邸の日々を表しているっす。金勘定するのが王じゃなくて女王な青セーターで、こ
Mhm.
っそり贅沢をするのが王妃じゃなくてアリ。
さよならロビン。
Every time.
次は何？
生きてるとか愛してるとかそういうセリはないっすか？ないっすね。でも自分的にはノープロ。アリスさんの虐待もラブの方。
I just love the idea of a small, annoying British bird that is unkillable. Yeah, what is this?
かこれ超ウケる。このでっぷりしたやつ超ブサイクなんですけど、
Alright.
生きてるのが恥ずかしくなるレベルっす。
Alright, I do not believe that fugly existed as an etymological term at this point in time. There's no way. It's from the 1960s? Never mind. Here I was like, that sounds way too modern. I guess not.
あなたよ。
Oh.
あなたよ。
だからそれがあなたの本体。ロストロビンロンドとタグには書かれているけど、あなたにはもったいない名称ね。
I was gonna say it's slightly bird-like.
まさにミケランジェロクラスの造形っす。自分店に入った時からこいつが一番高価で大人気だって気づいてたっすよ。ほんと。
詳細データは必要ないわね。あなた本編で十分すぎるほど出しゃばってるから。元は葬式の歌よ。殺されたロビンをめぐってのお話。
Yeah, I thought it was just the blue bird of happiness, but no.
誰がという問いかけに私がと参列者たちが答えていくの。大ヒットしたマザーグースで、その後前日譚であるコック・ロビンとジェニー・レンの幸せ
Jeez,
な
I
記
didn't
憶
know about the
が出版され、
MGU,
これまたヒット。
the Mother Goose universe.
その後コック・ロビンの死の後を歌った
Wow.
スズメの裁判と処罰も出版。羨ましいわ。印税だけで大儲けね、ロビン。
鳥には1円も入ってこないっすけどね。それよりアリスさん知ってるっすか？コマドリはイギリスの国鳥っすよ。クリスマスの象徴でもあるっす。
Okay, that last one I don't really associate it with. I feel like there's many other birds that come to mind first.
つまり魔法よの主役は自分。
You can't say that name. There he goes! Look at him go! Beautiful. Look at him go. Where's he going? I swear if he like falls and lands like Archer in Stay Night, it's like on the couch. And he's back.
あんまり調子に乗ってると大変。
すでにこれ以上ないほど大変っす。
It is funny they called it Mahoyo when, like, I feel like that name would not come up, right? Like, we call it Mahoyo because we know the Japanese name, but I don't think there's anything that says the Japanese name. What the frick is that? Sorry, what? Oh, gross. What the frick?
あとはほとんど残り物ね。
アリスさんアリスさん、この3つ目のプロイなんすか？目っぽい形をしたキャンディー？
What, it should just be a candy that looks like an eyeball. Halloween leftovers.
目玉よ。
No.
目玉っぽいキャンディー？
本物の目玉よ。見る？
Sans. Haha, there's the
アリスさん
joke.
の左目、義眼だったっすか？
そういうわけではないのだけど、私の左目もプロイ扱いなだけよ。
Oh, interesting.
アクロスティック化ってなんすか？
Scripps Humpty, Witch History. Simultaneous incantation, acrostic. You brought that up earlier. Requires a large amount of magical energy, so acrostification cannot occur unless Diddle Diddle is active.
一つの言葉にたくさんの意味を持たせることよ。
Oh,
レイス・キャロル
whoa.
が提示したカバンごと同じね。
Weaponizing portmanteaus is amazing.
鏡の国でアリスはハンプティにこう質問したの。シナヌルストーブってどういう意味？ハンプティは答えたわ。それはな、しなやかでぬるやかという意味だ。わかって？要は異なる二つの意味を
Whoa.
新しい言葉として生み出すルール変更。それが魔眼のアクロ化よ。
That's freaking cool. That's really cool.
別にハンプティがモデルというわけではないのだけど、彼女はハンプティにちなんだ名前をつけたのね。
Seemingly nothing related to Humpty.
うーん ただの思いつきなんすけど、初回限定版と通常版をくっつけるとどうなるっすか？
そうね。その2つを合わせた場合、初回特典付きのアイテムが永遠に市場に残り続けるでしょう。
Is this a joke about how the only version of Mihoyo was the first edition bonus?
その場合、新しい言葉は初回限定普及版っすね。
違うわ。ワゴン行きよ。
Oof.
コホン。このように使いどころが難しい
That's
プ
a
ロになる。
wild one.
今後は気をつけるわ。
Pudding.
次は、
That's
これっ
that's
す
just
か。
pudding.
こいつについては番外編で語るんでパスっすね。
Oh my god, Cockney rhyme. That's another time.
次は、なんすかこれ。
ただの失敗品よ。私の最初の
Oh.
プロイ。使い道はないのだけど、記念として飾っているの。
That's cute.
この通
Snow
り、
White, first
魔術
mistake.
戦には使えないわ。形も良くないから見せるものでもないのだけど、
That's nice though.
こういうの
I
は
like it.
思い出だから。
Also, something that was pointed out, the artist who did all... Oh, I did bring it up. Yeah, we looked at it in the credits, but the artist who did a lot of the Grand Order servants that are kind of weird and ployish was the one who did them. And, like, knowing that, I appreciate his work more in Grand Order. Even if I think
ブローチの
Amadeus
形を
looks
し
a
た
bit
作
messed up.
細工なんすね。うわ、雨。アリスさんの手作りキャンディー、雨。
Oh, wow! A full fridge!
そろそろ就業時間ね。私は先に帰っているから、後片付けをやっておいて。
These are so silly, and I love them. Ah, the Tokitsu Baking Company Limited. Thank you. I love these so much. They're fun. All right, extra, the honey adventure. What is going to happen here? What do you mean they're here? It had been 1 year since he'd moved into the city from his remote village. One thing he realized during that time is that likes and dislikes were the main difference between human and beast. It's the old school.
ここが新しいアジトか。
Oh, interesting.
いいんじゃない？ちょっとみすぼらしいけど、周りに人間がいないのは綺麗でいいよね。
The figure dressed in a white coat danced to and fro down the hallway. It was like a young woman in an old film, enjoying herself window shopping. He was actually enjoying the atrocious sight of the school building in ruins.
そこ、あんまりはしゃがないの。何しろ築60年からの廃屋なんだから。
Which doesn't sound like a lot of time to you, I'm sure, but, you know, to us it is.
調子に乗ってるとバキッと床を踏み抜いて。
His mouth shut before he could even... his mouth shut before he could even say to let him have his fun. Only one set of footsteps echoed through the hallway. Not a single feather's worth of his 70-pound body was exerting any force on the floor beneath him. It wasn't clear whether he was paying reverence to the hallway or simply excited by it. It's said that even walking through a grassy field, a beast is careful not to harm a single blade of grass. Apparently, the creature wrapped in a coat was no different. He was more a part of the environment itself than a settler of it. He held no regard for beasts greater or lesser than him. But when it came to his comrades, he at least displayed human-like, or rather wolf-like clemency.
ま、相性はいいとプラスに考えましょう。街に出かけてくるけど、何か欲しいものはある？漫画とか小説とか。特にいりません。あ、帰りにハンバーガー買ってきてくれたら嬉しいな。パン生地がどっしりしてて、ハンバーグがギュッとしたやつがいい。
Unfortunately, I don't think Wendy's is in Japan just yet. If you want a fun thing, look up what Wendy's is called in Japan. And then look up the nickname for Wendy's in Japan. You won't believe it either.
まだおもちゃより食い気ときた。
食事の調達方法も確保しないとダメみたいね。
God, your lips. It's just such a subtle thing when they give just slight, puffy lips to a character. Drives me wild.
失敗したかな。ルームサービスのあるホテルの方が後々証拠は残らなそう。
Yeah, but I'm gonna be real. Booking a hotel with a young boy for an extended period of time, who is clearly not related to you, would probably lead to many problems. Toko let out a defeated sigh. With her glasses on, she was restricted to her original way of speaking and gesturing. Interesting. It was the beginning of December. Exactly 1 month had passed since they came to Misaki City. Until now, Toko had been attacking Misaki from a nearby neighborhood. Deciding it was time to get serious, she had moved her base of operations to this old school building.
何？ホテルの方が良かったの？
そりゃあ楽だもの。グレードが良ければホテル暮らしは快適です。
I had to stay in a hotel for quarantine for 7 days, and let me tell you, they're not.
でもトウコさん、こういう廃墟好きだよね。
え？そうかな？
そうだよ。今回みたいなのは特にそう。趣味に走るとき、周りに人がいるの嫌がるじゃない。いろんなものに興味を持つくせに、興味を持たれるのは面倒っていうか。
Toko couldn't deny the observation. She had been under contract with him. She had been under contract with him for 2 years, but it had only been about a year since he became her full-time bodyguard. He seemed to be able to see right through her to the root of all the problems that plagued Toko.
人混みは嫌いじゃないんだけどね。ハイビルでもハイ工場でも、いっそあの遊園地でもよかったのよ。でも、こんな田舎町じゃ君を連れているだけで噂になるでしょ。結果的に、ここに工房を構えるしかなかったの。
I just noticed he almost has like beast-like ears too. He's got the little Len ears.
ちゃんと人型になってるじゃん僕。別に目立たないと思うけどな。
色合いの問題です。アジア系は無理にしても、せめてブルネットに化けてくれればいくらでもごまかせるんだけど。
Unfortunately, that wouldn't be happening. Simply being in human form at all was stressful for him. When he had to be human, his only condition was that he could look however he wanted. He was currently only in this form because they had to move from the town to the old school building. Once he found a classroom to sleep in, he'd be back to a wolf.
なんだって人型でいるのを嫌がるのかしらね。別に難しいわけじゃないんでしょそれ。もともとアストラル体みたいなものなんだからあなた。
Being an extremely versatile life form which required no body to stabilize him, in the physical world, his body could change according to the situation. Magecraft would have defined him as a higher dimensional life form with a materialized soul.
そりゃあ何の力もリスクもないけど、面倒なものは面倒だよ。人間だって無駄なことはしたくないでしょ。僕、人型になることに有利性を全く感じないし。
Apparently, he saw no value at all in his human form. That was exactly why Toko insisted he make his appearance blend in more, but the boy argued that if he had to be in an unnatural state, he'd at least make himself comfortable. To him, this was the only fun way to be human, and he wasn't going to accept it any other way. And so this is why he had taken on the appearance of a foreign aristocrat in a provincial Japanese city. Even his posh coat had been handpicked by Toko to satisfy one of his many demands.
じゃあ、お留守番お願いね、レオくん。来ないとは思うけど、もし人が来たら捕まえておいて。その際、足の一本ぐらいなら傷つけても OK だから。
And with that statement, Toko headed off into the city.
はーい、任されました。大丈夫。人間とかそもそも口に合わないし。
Well, that's good, I guess.
こっちのことは気にせず、あのピリピリするお土産よろしくね。
Bayo plopped down onto a desk after he saw his employer off. He morphed back into his wolf form.
ああ、退屈。世界中を回ってこんな田舎町が終着とか。拍子抜けもいいところ。
It had been 2 years since Bayo met Toko Ozaki. After some deliberation with the werewolves, the mage was left in charge of Bayo's education. Of course, his village had no real control over him. He didn't have to go with her. He simply decided to go because she seemed interesting. Toko stood before him in a cave where he slept and asked,
え、生きている意味が知りたい？なんだ、そんなことで取引が成立するとはね。
She smiled and cut off her long locks of hair to seal their pact.
自由を知るには窮屈さを知っておかないとね。同じように生きている意味を知りたければ、まずは死ねないこだわりを見つけないと。そうだな。例えばの話。そいつを殺すまでは、とてもじゃないが死ねないほどの憎しみとか。
I know I can't die because Fate Samurai Remnant has been announced, and I really want to play that. The hair was 20 years worth of Toko's life. In a way, her hair was a part of herself, but she parted with it easily. She was sure that Bayo was worth the 20 years it had taken her to grow that hair. Bayo too sensed that Toko was a creature of rare value. He was happy to have been selected by someone of her unusual talents, and though she preached learning restraint, he observed that she was a truly free woman. And then, Bayo accepted the terms of her contract and left his village. He took his first steps into the outside world. The first year was spent at Toko's workshop in England learning basic knowledge. Namely, it was at a college of the Mage Association called the Clock Tower. I was gonna say, if it was at a college of the Mage Association, it's the only one I can think of. At the time, Toko had her own dedicated familiar. Formally speaking, this familiar was Bayo's senior, but in that year's time, Bayo proved himself superior and earned the right to travel with Toko. They rode on a train that collected— Oh, whoa! Hello! We know about Rail Zeppelin. Thanks to the El Malloy stuff. By the way, the El Malloy, there's some El Malloy videos that are gone because of copyright. You can get that on my Patreon. They saw the Mukrane, the Mukrake, an ancient giant octopus living in the North Sea. I've never heard of that. What the frick is that? I'm Googling this. What the frick is the Mukrake? I love giant octopuses. The answer is nothing. The answer is when I hit images, I get images of Sasaki Kojiro? Why does Sasaki Kojiro come up? I'm gonna search his Wikipedia page here. Why does... But the Mukrake doesn't come up. Very strange. Is it the Muckrake? Is that what it's supposed to be? Muckrake? No. What do you mean? Giant octopus. You can't just... The Muckraker? What is the not Merc, but Muckrake? Is that what it's supposed to be? Weird. I've never heard of whatever this is. I'm curious. I will have to learn more later. They explored the Bermuda Triangle, a place of no return connected to other realms. Okay, confirmation the Fate world, the Bermuda Triangle connects to other realms. They met the remains of a mage of the Elder title, a league of ancients deep in Western Europe. All their exploits were odd and exciting enough to hold his interest, and throughout them all, Bayo felt that he'd been right to join Toko. This was certainly less boring than sleeping in his cave. But sweet honey makes one crave even sweeter poison. Having developed a taste for adventure, he now demanded even greater thrills. It was only natural that such an innocent creature would start to look forward to its next prey. The pinnacle of that desire rested on Toko's final goal. For all her liberty and aplomb, there was one prey she would not stop chasing until she caught it once and for all. With every new adventure, Bayo would ask,
ねえ、これがトウコさんの殺したい相手?
However, the mage would always smile wryly and shake her head in response. Even this puppet master of extraordinary talent claimed it was no easy task. Her target was in a realm far beyond anyone they've dealt with so far, beyond human knowledge, perhaps beyond even Bayo. But who could this mysterious person be? And how could they be so powerful? Bayo couldn't help but be curious. Discovering that he was hired for magical reasons, he mustered a rare bit of fighting spirit, thinking he'd found a worthy foe, but...
冷静に なって考えてみると、本物が偽物を相手にするとか大人げないかも。魔法なんて言っても結局は人間の手によるものなんだし。
Clearly, it was still only interested in itself. It knew nothing of life or freedom. Its only pleasure was found in food. Bayo didn't necessarily feel dissatisfied, but it was becoming harder to stave off his boredom. Also, since accompanying Toko on her adventures, his feelings towards her had become a bit confused.
トウコさん、あれでほんと一途だから。何でもできるのは僕と同じなのに、何にでも一生懸命になれるのって、ちょっと。
He slumped his shoulders exaggeratedly and closed his eyes. The golden wolf slipped off to sleep, not realizing that his feelings were in fact those of jealousy. Please have Toko burger buying adventures, please.
4年ぶりに帰ってきてみれば、住み慣れた町の面影はどこへやら。駅前なんてもう別物だし、大手術にも程が。ああ、やっぱり角のタバコ屋さんなくなってる。
Well, she needs her cigs.
ああ、自動販売機でタバコを買うのにもそろそろ慣れなくちゃいけないのかも。
Less romantic, I guess. Toko walked through her hometown for the first time in 4 years, grumbling to herself. She was on an aimless journey and a careless stroll. No familiar escorted her, and she'd even left her self-defense bag back at the hideout. Today she was in full tourist mode, not nervous about a thing.
ここなんてあぜ道同然だったのに、今じゃ立派なストリートと来た。因果なものね。帰ってきたっていうのに、あっちに戻った時と同じ気持ちになってきた。
I could see that. Literally talking about, globalization here. It's becoming more and more globalized. This was Toko's second time going back home. After leaving the Aozaki home 4 years ago, she secretly returned to Misaki. The first time was longer ago. When Toko was 14 years old, she studied abroad in an academy in England. She'd spent 2 years there before returning to Japan. Then she'd enrolled in a local high school called Rayan Girls Academy and headed back to England 3 years after graduating. That's... Hold up. Which one is that? Rayan Girls Academy. Is that the one that... Wait, let's see here. Rain Girls Academy students. That's the one, yeah, that's the one that, Fujino goes to, yeah. Oh, right, and Alice does too with her outfit. Have I just completely missed that connection? I super did. I entirely missed that that's literally the same one. Wow. Wow. Either I missed it or I threw it out of my brain. That was 4 years ago. Now she felt the same as she did then, when she returned to that English country town where she'd lived for 2 years. So I wonder if, probably not in the movie version, but probably in the novel, I wonder if Toko brings up, for the Garden of Sinners there, that she went to the school. Because the movie cuts out a lot. That movie is kind of silly, the one that goes to Rain Girls Academy. But I wonder if the novel does.
寂しい？ちょっと違う。呆れてるとも違うし、怖がっているも近くて遠いような。
She rounded her shoulders and fell deep in thought. Toko felt a tingle run up her spine in a way she couldn't really be described in words. Times were changing faster than ever. Everything was relatively inexpensive and could be replaced on a whim. After thinking to herself for a bit, she cracked her knuckles and set forth. There was no use overthinking any of this. This was just how things were now. That's all there was to it. It was only natural for the old to make way for the new.
つまり、私の時代ってことだ。
You can do this, Toko! Ganbare, Toko! A sudden spark of self-enlightenment gave Toko the encouragement she needed, so she set off with high spirits toward the train station. Striding down the boulevard, she exuded the confidence of a supermodel or dictator. One or the other. Although she was not about to exclaim, "My conquest begins with Main Street, time to tear it up," her enthusiasm was still, of course, still there. Toko, however, had something she had to accomplish first. Before she could give thought to putting an end to the town's thoughtless attempts at modernization that would become outdated in just a few years. Weird break in the middle of that line. Was this her gambling? Oh, are we gonna learn about what she did gambling?
こんな釘の絞りで客を煙に負けると思ったか?
Toko's first destination was not one of Misaki's protective sigils, but rather her old favorite pachinko parlor. Though the area around the train station had undergone a dramatic makeover, the back streets were mostly unchanged. Toko had exchanged 5,000 yen for some little silver pachinko balls before going upstairs and sitting at the machine she was determined was paying out the most that day.
そろそろ打ち止めかな。千両箱が12箱か。まあ、4年ぶりにしちゃ上等だろ。
She sounded slightly disappointed, but her lips and posture betrayed her good humor. Pachinko parlors were a staple form of entertainment in Japan, but they were largely absent in other countries. High-stakes gamers criticized it as inefficient, time-consuming, too luck-dependent, unrewarding, and so forth, basically a child's game. When Toko was studying abroad, she didn't see anything like that. She didn't see anything that even resembled a pachinko parlor. However, she wasn't here playing pachinko because she was feeling nostalgic after 5 years. She simply needed a war chest.
しかし、ヘリのチャーター代だけで足が出るとは。日本は平和すぎて、裏稼業の相場が高すぎるんだ。クソ。おかげで無一文だ。とりあえず、ベオの食いぶちだけでも稼がねえなら。
I didn't even consider where she would get her money from, and this is amazing. Toko had chartered a helicopter to airlift 3 shipping containers full of materials to remodel the old school building into a workshop. There weren't any roads a truck could take to get to the old school out deep in the mountains, so she'd been forced to burn through the last of her savings.
お、37。こいつは本格的におしまいかな。まったく、こういうどうでもいいゲームだけは星の巡りがいいと来ている。
Her smile remained in spite of her complaints. There was nothing more Toko-esque than her sitting cross-legged in this pachinko parlor, one hand in the machine and the other holding a cheap cigarette. God, what a woman! Toko noticed something out of the corner of her eye and put on her glasses to see better. She glanced over toward the odd sounds she saw and saw a pale-faced parlor employee. He had a baby face and looked like he was still in high school. Upon seeing Toko, he froze for a moment, then ran off. Or rather, he fled in a panic.
私、そんなに引く感じ?
You do exude a terrifying aura. Mage though she was, Toko was still in the prime of her youth. Though she didn't like it when guys oogled her or tried to strike up a conversation, she thought a boy running full tilt away from her was a bit much. Toko made a mental note to scare the crap out of the kid the next time she saw him and returned to her game. With her winning tickets in hand, Toko left the pachinko parlor. She had won quite a bit, but it was hard for her to feel good about it after what happened at the end of her session. Wondering what that had been about, she looped around the back of the parlor to redeem her winnings for cash.
おや、Toko-sanじゃないですか。
Oh? She stopped in her tracks, frozen by a familiar voice she hadn't heard in 4 years. Oh, is this the priest? Huh. Beo's ears perked up as he woke from his slumber. It was just before sunset. He opened his eyes with a big yawn. Oh, big yawn. Sniffing at a familiar scent in the air getting closer.
よっと。
Beo jumped down to the floor and transformed back into his human form. Though he and Toko didn't have a strict master-servant relationship, he felt he should at least go and greet her since he was supposed to be watching over the place in her absence.
あれ?
Beo's face scrunched into a perplexed frown as they met in the hallway. He sensed something more to the smell he'd been so used to.
ただいま、ベオくん。はい、真面目にお留守番していたお土産。
Toko handed the paper bag she was holding to Beo. Beo was happy to get his hands on the bag stuffed full of hamburgers, but he tilted his head at the lingering odd scent.
どうしたの？浮かない顔して。留守中何かあった？
いや、思わず寝ちゃうぐらい何もなかったけど。トウコさんの方こそ何かあった？
Does she smell, or does he smell Sojiro on her?
なんか元気ないし、妙に疲れてるし。何より、ちゃんと僕の好きなお店のハンバーガー買ってきてるし。
え、そう？別に何もなかったけど。
This was all extremely sus. One of the major red flags for Bayo was Toko's usual complete lack of interest in food. Toko thought that a hamburger was the same no matter where you ate one, and so she just stopped at wherever was closest. Thus, Toko would only stop at certain Asian burger chains, still rare in Japan, maybe 1% of the time. Not to mention...
いいじゃない。ちゃんと好きなお店のバーガーを買ってきたんだから。これは私なりのベオくんへの感謝の気持ち。今までいろいろ連れ回したけど、これからもよろしくね。
She had a sickly sweet smile on her face. If any of the puppets she had let loose in Misaki heard what she was saying now, they'd probably fall into a logic error loop and self-destruct. Toko was not one to even consider the rights of her familiars.
うさんくさい、芝居くさい、真っ向くさい。優しいトウコさんなんてトウコさんじゃない。
That boob is crazy. Can I just say? It is.
いっつも周りを恨んでいて、文句ばっかり言って幸せそうな人たちをめちゃくちゃにしたいんだけど大義名分がないから我慢してる。そんな理性のおかげでかろうじて性格破綻者を免れてるトウコさんはどこ行ったのさ。
失礼しちゃうな。私だってたまには優しくなる時ぐらいあるんだから。ほら、4年ぶりに故郷に帰ってきたのよ。ベオくんだって里に帰ったらちょっとぐらいホッとするでしょ。それと同じ。私だってホームシックになる程度
She's
の
really
可愛
pushing
ら
that
し
last
さがある
part.
んです。
She's like, I'm young and cute and innocent and 18. It's like, Toko, you're not. I am.
すっごい嘘。月が涙を流すぐらい嘘。
本当です。もうベオくんそれ返して。罰として夕食抜き。
Toko made a grab for the paper bag, but Bayo dodged and jumped out the window. He dexterously kicked off a wall and scampered up onto the roof of the old school building.
なんだい、ほんとつまんない。言い訳するトウコさんとか僕見たくない。
He pulled out a hamburger from the paper bag and took a big ol' bite out of it. That said, though her attitude had seemed like an act to Bayo, it was true that Toko was in an unusually good mood. It was unclear why that was the case, but Toko seemed to be feeling something special, or at least something she had never shown Bayo before.
なんだろう、あの匂い。妙にふわふわしてて、鬱陶しくて。
Bayo couldn't understand what exactly that feeling was. He only knew basic feelings such as like and dislike, delicious or disgusting. He wasn't able to articulate much further than that, yet.
まあいいけど、僕には関係ないし。トウコさんも明日になればいつものトウコさんだろうし。
Bayo continued to eat through his hamburgers, still not completely satisfied with the day's course of events. The truth was, even if Bayo didn't care enough to understand it, he was still a little upset that there was something he didn't know. A few days passed. Unbeknownst to the people of Misaki, progress was being made on the remodeling of the old school building. Meanwhile, Bayo was bored out of his mind, knowing he had to be stuck here for at least another month. He could feel both his body and mind dulling as he spent his days simply lounging around eating meat. On the other hand,
買い出しに出てくるから、あとはよろしくね。元気してた？はい、お土産のローストビーフ。
ooh,
行ってきます。屋上の機材片付けておいてね。
it is really funny just imagining Toko going, I brought you Arby's.
ただいま。今日もお留守番ご苦労様。
Oh, that would slay me.
よし、行ってくるでござる。
Oh, that's
お
scary.
疲れ。お酒臭い？ばっか。酔ってなんかないです。もう全然酔ってなんかないもん。
What a woman. This is what Toko had become. The mage was constantly out and always in a good mood, in stark contrast to Bayo, who spent his days doing nothing. Evidently, she was happy with how her workshop was becoming more and more fortified by the day.
違う。もう絶対違う。そんなんでトウコさんの機嫌は良くなんないし、ここに関しちゃぐちぐち不満ばっかりこぼしてるし、何よりござるとかバカっぽいこと言わないし。
どうしたのベオくん？すっごくブサイクな顔してるけど。
そういう問題じゃありません。まあそりゃ早く本命とやらと戦ってみたいけど、 もうちょっと先なんでしょ。なら我慢する。トウコさんの言葉は今のところ外れないから。けどなんか変。いつも下準備の時はこれぐらい暇だけど緊張感がない。
You know, it's funny. Like, legitimately, Toko might be like, I have a Game Boy if you want. Because remember, she is secretly a gamer who literally ROM hacked Pokemon Blue so that she could talk to her sister in that game and specifically say, no, you don't get to join my party.
毎日食べて寝て食べて寝てじゃ太る。ブクブクに太るよ。そんなのかっこよくないよ。
I thought you could change your shape.
何言ってるんだか。ベオ君にそんな心配は無用でしょ。
Yeah.
排泄もしないくせにまともな生き物ぶってるんじゃありません。
Bro, you don't even piss.
だから主にトウコさんがブクブクに。
Maybe that's okay. Maybe I don't have a problem with that.
ベオ君、それ本当？
Well, that's a new face.
数値は変わってないはずだけど、なんかこうアストラル的に増えちゃったりしてる。
Astrally fat. This is what Bayo was talking about. Toko knew the accuracy of Bayo's eye and trusted his discerning vision over even the numbers on her scale. Normally, Toko would just remove her glasses and say something like,
唐突だが、特攻兵器の有用性を確認したくなった。ああ、いや、意見は聞いていない。さあ、ベオ、この首輪をつけてみろ。
She hadn't done anything of the sort. It was beyond weird for her.
別に増えてないよ。昨日とちょっとの上下差はあるけど、そんなの人間なら当たり前だし。いちいち本気にするとか見苦しいからやめてほしい。
本当？こう後でボテッとくるような気配とかない？
ないってば。昨日取った栄養分はきれいに分配されてるし、いつも通りのトウコさんだよ。
I wish someone told me that. That they would tell me that the nutrients I've consumed have distributed nicely throughout my body. I'd be like, thanks. I worked hard on that. That last part was a lie. She was not the same Toko that Bayo had always known. Even though she was physically the same, there was something still about her since a few days ago. That strange, floaty, lingering scent was still there. It was a change that only a wild beast like Bayo could discern, but it was getting stronger with each passing day. Bayo was annoyed because he could not figure out what the scent was.
それなら安心安心と。私は出かけてくるから、お留守番よろしくね。
Toko failed to notice Bayo's poor mood and left the old school building in her usual carefree mood. This was how it had been for days now. Bayo stared at his own reflection in the window and contemplated for a while. Unfortunately, this wouldn't solve anything. It wouldn't change the fact that his employer was still acting strangely, and it wouldn't get rid of the uncertainty he was constantly feeling in his chest. He knew he didn't have much other choice.
トウコさんを尾行しよう。
Uh-oh. He decided to let go of his principles for just this one day. I mean, if she can act off and weird, so can he, right? They say winter's going to be colder than usual this year. Make sure you've got sufficient food, clothing, and shelter. We should be fine on clothing, but make sure to shore up on the other two. He listened to the talk around town as he passed through Masaki. It was just past 1 in the afternoon on a weekday. Workers had returned to the office after their lunch breaks, and the kids were all still in school. The main street was fairly calm and relaxed, with mostly housewives out and about. Yet one person stood out in this calm and gentle sea of people. Toko endured the stares of the housewives out shopping, salespeople in their shops, and salarymen out on business as she walked down the main street. It wasn't just her sense of style that stood out, but also her generally powerful presence that attracted eyes. To put it simply, she walked with the confidence of a model on the runway.
人には目立つなっていうくせに本人は腫れたもんな。潜伏期間中、相手に見つかるのは僕だけのせいじゃないと思う。
Bayo kept about 10 yards behind Toko, careful not to actually mutter the words he was thinking in his head. In Toko's defense, she was fully aware how much she stood out in a crowd. She was out at a busier time of day. She always wore an accessory inscribed with a rune that diverted people's attention away from her and made her stand out approximately 40% less. This is literally like equipping an item in a game that's like, oh, plus 40% stealth. Toko finished up her shopping and headed toward the residential part of town. She walked up to a house that looked completely normal, rang the doorbell, and after stating her name, the door opened quietly. It looked as though the things she had brought were for the resident of the house. The nameplate outside read Asagi. Why does that name ring familiar? Asagi was in the mountains, but for just a moment, Bayo got a whiff of sea brine. Assuming he must have mistaken it for some other smell, he put it out of his mind. Toko came out of the house after about 30 minutes. She stretched her arms above her head and took a deep breath. Whatever had gone on inside seemed to have been rather serious. It was as if a weight had been lifted from her shoulders.
これで根回しは終了っと。あとは最後の念押しね。
Toko murmured, exasperated. But lurking behind her words, Bayo could still detect that lofty scent emanating from her mouth. Was she getting hotboxed in there? Her next stop was another plain-looking apartment. It looked as though she had just happened to walk by, but Bayo's nose was not so easily deceived. Toko made it look like she was just aimlessly killing time, but she had in fact arranged to arrive at the apartment at exactly 2:30 p.m. In the parking lot of the apartment... Oh, Ritsuka Susei stepped out of a room on the first floor.
はーい、お久しぶり。こんなところでばったり出会うなんて奇遇ね、リツカ。
嘘、トコちゃん？あなた帰ってきてたの？
ええ、ちょっと前にね、こっそり人目を忍ぶように。
It is hilarious
窓
how
から
she just
侵入するサンタクロースさながらに。
is openly saying this to the church members.
あ、言うまでもなく、目的はこの町をぶっ潰すこと。私の過去ともどもきれいさっぱり清算するため、この度準備万端でやってまいりました。なので、邪魔になる教会の人間とか教会の人間とか気づかれる前にやっちゃうぞ。
あらあら、それはご丁寧にどうも。で、トコちゃん、それ
That's a
私
new
のこと。
face.
教会の人間って今私しかいないんですけど。
あら不思議。むしろラッキー。懐かしくて散歩していたらまさか標的の一人に出会うなんて。一つ手間が省けた感じ？
関係ないの。私教会と関係ないから。だってここ1年真面目に仕事してないし。というか、仮にも兄弟子を捕まえて本気で殺すとか言わないでほしいです。
The woman was tearfully flailing her arms at this point. She had nothing to worry about, though. Bayo could see even from where he was peering through the fence that Toko had no real intent to kill anyone. She had a terrible habit of messing with people for her own entertainment. This time was no different. Unfortunately, the pleasure she took in it only made her target of their jokes feel doubly worse.
それを言うなら姉弟子でしょ。
だってトコちゃん妹って感じしないんだもん。間違っても姉弟子なんて胸を張って言えません。
そうよね。技量的にもとても先輩なんて言えるものじゃなかったし。一
Jeez.
家の特技なんて今じゃ深夜販売の商品以下だし。そろそろ食害考えたら？いいとこ紹介するよ。イタリアで見つけたもう廃業寸前のサーカス一座とかどう？
Legitimately don't know if that's a reference or just a non sequitur.
そんな日給バイトはコリゴリです。せめて週休のところを紹介して。
うわー、通販以下ってところは否定しないんだ。
なぜ？トコちゃんの指摘は正しいわ。だって私何にもできない役立たずですから。魔術協会一のお荷物、ここに参上。
Maybe she was taken aback by Ritsuka's guileless smile, but Toko couldn't help but grin back at her. If one didn't know better, they would seem like good friends.
私への疑いは解けたと見たわ。それなら寄ってく？これから用事があったんだけど、別に後回しでいいし。久しぶりだもの。お互い積もる話とか楽しそうじゃない？
ほんと相変わらずゆるゆるねリツク。確かに気が変わったわ。 その様子じゃ教会との関係なんてないようなものだし。そう、本気で青子の味方なんだ。
もちろんアコちゃんはまだ半人前ですもの。
It is interesting how casual some people are about this, sibling rivalry that causes the heat death of the universe.
つかず離れず、あくまで他人行儀に。アコちゃんが死ぬような目にあっても遠くから見守るわ。
それは結構。青子もほんといい性格をした理解者に恵まれたもんだ。
Toko took a step back away from Ritsuka. She looked a bit regretful as she signaled the conversation was over.
あれ、寄っていかないの？私コーヒー入れるの上手くなったよ。
ありがとう。けど遠慮しとく。こっちはまだ潜伏中だし、町攻略の準備もあるしね。
あらまあ、真面目さん。でもそうよね。トコちゃんはそういう人でした。根を詰めすぎて目的より手段そのものに熱中しちゃうタイプ。ほんと、どんな準備かはわからないけど、トコちゃんに狙われる人たちは大変だ。
Oh, you don't know.
別に普通でしょ。基本魔術戦やって、こっちが勝ったら刻印をもらうだけ。
The usual.
時代遅れの魔女じゃあるまいし、倒した相手に呪いとかかけないわよ私。
Could you imagine?
だからそこです。相手の命より収集を優先してるじゃない。その人たち目玉だけになっても生きているなんてことにならなければいいけど、あなたは気を使っているつもりだろうけど、相手にとっては拷問だからね、それ。
Toko nodded to show her agreement. Her collection of crests would appear that way on the outside. Toko sought profit in combat. If a mage she defeated could provide her with profitable materials, she would not take their life. She would even save their life if she knew it would be to her advantage to do so. As a result, her workshop in London had a facility specifically built for the comfort of her magical suppliers. It housed mages who had either lost to her in battle or had willingly agreed to contribute to her cause. Toko held many magecraft patents, which earned her up to £10,000 a month in royalties. However, the majority of this money went to the upkeep of this facility. The demands from residents of the place for additional facilities and special privileges increased with every passing day. It was reaching a point where Toko needed to decide whether to incorporate or just let everyone go and be done with it.
でも地下ってそういうものじゃないわよ。拷問なんて手間暇かかりすぎるし、娯楽を与える方が管理コストは低いんだってば。
Wow.
今はいい脚本揃ってるしね。適当な映画のプロットを拝借して、それを再現するだけで喜んでもらえるし。
That's amazing.
仮想であれ現実であれ、自分が主役になれる物語なんて最高じゃない？
Just run Dragon Quest for them over and over each day.
つかぬことをお伺いいたしますけど、上演ジャンルはどのようなバランスで？恋愛3、活劇3、サスペンス3、アニメ 1？
は？そりゃ基本ホラーでしょ。エンタメのすべてが詰まってるんだし。
Never mind, you're horrible.
私、トコちゃんのそういうところ素で怖いわ。というか、女の子なんだからもっとロマンを求めてほしいの。
今回捕まえる候補に上がっている人間に言われると、さすがに考慮せざるを得ない。囚人を放り込む箱庭のバランスに気を使ってみればいいの？
恋愛9でお願いします。それがダメなら推理9でぜひ。
This was clearly a response from someone who knew she'd lose if she had to go up against Toko.
了解。そういう事態になったら善処する。
はーい。そういう事態ってどんな事態？
誰かの味方をするのはいいけど、私の敵に回った時かな。あと、今日のことを口外した瞬間、足元からパクッといくから気をつけて。
Terrifying.
足元って影のこと？あれ、そもそもなんていうか、トコちゃん、私一歩も動けないんだけど。
ごめんなさいリツカ。実は1週間かけてあなたの部屋に罠を仕掛けてたの。 ドアの境界に影で作った使い魔を仕込ませたみたいな。しばらくはあなた
Oh.
の影に住み着いているから、私に不利な証言したら大変だぞ。
Interesting. I like
私
it.
すでに大変だったのか。悪魔、人でなし、天才悪魔。トコちゃんはもう少し一般常識を学ぶべきです。もう道理で夜な夜な泥棒さんがピッキングしてると思った。
Ritsuka hadn't noticed the shadow familiar, but she had sensed Toko as she was setting her trap late at night. Toko didn't think Ritsuka could speak about common sense since she had ignored an apparent burglar trying to break into her home for a week.
その使い魔、年明けには解けるから安心なさい。じゃあね、リツカ。縁があったらまた会いましょう。その時は自慢のコーヒーをご馳走してね。ああ、あと深夜販売の商品だってバカにできたもんじゃないわ。あのシンプルさ、結構好きよ、私。
You're like flex tape. You have a purpose. Togo winked at her old friend and left the apartment behind her. Hopefully we'll meet again. Togo realized that those were empty words. Her plan would not spare her mortal body. Be it success, be it failure, Toko Ozaki would be erased from this world. Still, that was no reason, not at least to say something about meeting again. Perhaps Toko had more affection for Ritsuka than she realized. Even so, she left the friend behind in a state of paralysis. Toko had indeed returned home. That fact alone revealed much to Ritsuka. 2 years older than Toko, Ritsuka had been contracted 10 years prior to monitor Toko's grandfather, the mage who discovered the fifth magic. That made her Toko and Aoko's senior, and she knew the sisters rather well.
そりゃ口止めの一つもしないとね。トコちゃんを見て真っ先に警戒するのは私と。
One other person. Another with more seniority than the Aozaki sisters in the truest sense. There was one other beautiful person who had taught Toko.
ま、そっちはそっちで根回ししてるかな。トコちゃんならそのあたり完璧だろうけど。もうちょっとこう、敵には非常になった方がいいわよね。トコちゃんは相手の人権を尊重しすぎっていうか、根本が甘いっていうか、殺すと決めた相手に顔を見せるとか、どうかと思うの、私。
Toko was a researcher more than she was a mage. Generally, she wasn't a fighter. She was cruel but not cold. Despite her capability for vicious, ruthless treatment of people, she also displayed a measure of compassion for others. Ritsuka sighed as if the problem were her own, and hoped that inconsistency wouldn't end up hurting Toko. Toko left the neighborhood and began heading toward the largest park in town. It was 3 in the afternoon on this early winter day on the boulevard. If it were autumn, the street would be lined with people out for a walk to look at the colorful trees, but now Toko was alone. Though to be accurate, she wasn't quite alone. Bayo was walking along the grass, more than 10 yards behind his employer, when he noticed a change in her scent.
トウコさん、こんな街中でメガネ外してる?
Toko's personality changed significantly depending on whether or not she was wearing her glasses. Bayo wasn't sure which side was her true self, but he did know that she was much more serious and cruel without her glasses. It wasn't quite to the level of a split personality, more like a reordering of priorities. She mainly took off her glasses when she was about to fight someone. Is it sort of like, the simultaneous brain functions, maybe? Doing so made her less human. It pushed all sense of compromise, concern, and sympathy out of her brain.
ってことは、さっきから近づいてくる匂いはトウコさんの敵。
Bayo furrowed his brow as he hid behind a tree. He could certainly smell hostility and anticipation emanating from Toko, but at the same time he couldn't help but scrunch his nose up at the strange scent that kept getting stronger.
こんにちは。なんとなしに散歩していただけなのですが、また出会えるとは奇遇ですね、トウコさん。
ああ、たまたま続いた偶然だ。世間話をする仲でもなし、挨拶を交わす程度に済ませよう。
Bayo had no idea who was talking to Toko. His name was Eiri Fumitsuka. He was a priest of Ida Church and an enemy to Bayo and Toko. However, it was impossible for Bayo to sense this. He had no personal hostility toward the clergy anyway. As far as Bayo could tell, he was just a regular person. There was no chance that Toko could be at a disadvantage here. He would later learn a harsh lesson from someone who seemed slightly harmless, but that was a tale for another time.
そちらの状況はどうなんだ? 神の家は働き者揃いだからな。利権を漁りに来る欲深は現れそうか？
いやー、働き者というのは全力で肯定しますけど、欲が深いとかそんな人は少ないですよ。彼らがやってくるときは大抵は競技のためですから。欲望より責務で動く人たちって怖くないですか？
無駄話はしないと言っただろう。結論を言え。お前の腰巾着は鐘を鳴らしそうか？
Is your follower going to sound the bell?
やれやれ、人のことは言えませんよ。ト
What
ー
does
コ
that
さんだって
mean?
ワーカホリック寸前じゃないですか。もっとこう余裕のあるコミュニケーションを取りませんか？立場上いつ最後の仰せになるかわからないわけですし。
ふざけろ。いつも何もこれが最後だよ、エリ。
Toko curtly rejected the smiling priest's request for a chat. She was being as blunt as she could.
だいたい次があるとしたら、その時は殺し合いだろう。お互い手の内は知っているしな。顔を合わせた瞬間、どちらかが死んでいる。
それはトーコさんだけの思い込みですけどね。どうしてこう邪魔者は始末するという方向でしか物事を考えられないんでしょうか。
Eri shrugged his shoulders in frustration. Toko kept her gaze fixed intently on his overcoat. No matter how many times he said he wanted to resolve this peacefully, she would bet her pride that he didn't mean it.
まったく、そういうところも成長して帰ってくるんですから。育つのは女性としての魅力だけに留めておいてほしいものです。ああ、そう睨まない。本題に入りますから。目下、教会への報告は私が一任されています。司祭への報告は、現在、管理者は異端者と交戦中、中立の条約に基づき、司祭代理権限で監督中。なお、異端者の所属は不明。現在履歴を調査中。といったところです。
この町に現れた魔術師は所属不明ということになっているんだな。
ええ。シスターユイカは私とは別所轄の方ですが、彼女は異端者の攻防はおろか、その姿さえつかめていません。彼女が単独で敵の正体を暴くまで、教会から横やりが入ることはないんじゃないですかね。今まで通り、土地を狙いに来た魔術師同士の小競り合いだと思っているんじゃないですか。
そうか。では取引成立だな。お前が私の帰国の剣を握りつぶしている間は、私も多少回り道をする。
よかった。トウコさんは無差別な破壊工作はしませんが、とにかく最適な道筋を好みますから。勢い、どこぞの工場とかオフィスビルとか秘密基地にしそうでしょ。
You're not exactly wrong.
私がこちらに赴任している間、流血事件が続くと困るというか、私の評価が落ちるようなことは何とも。
Toko had to resist the urge to object and ask what kind of person he thought she was. She did hate wastefulness, but she wasn't about to entirely abandon society and its norms just for the sake of doing things optimally. Besides, criminal activities were always a pain to clean up later and thus far more inefficient.
まあいいさ。お互いの利益が一致したんだからな。では、あとはことが済むまで生還を決め込んでおけ。
もうお帰りですか。名残惜しいですね。結局一度も今のあなたの素顔を見られなかった。
私は逆だ。そのカマキリ面もこれで見納めかと思うと、せいせいする。
ああ、待ってください。お別れの前に一つ質問を。
Eri spoke just as Toko was about to take a step back. He had effortlessly stopped her from
所
leaving.
感なのですが、トウコさん、今、大変息苦しくはありませんか？
まさか。私はかつてないほど充実しているよ。なぜそんなことを聞く、エリ？
いえ、だって楽しそうではありますが、幸せそうではありませんので。あなた自身気づいてはいないようでしたから、知己として心配になったのです。
God, I love the anime glasses shine. God, it's so good.
幸せの定義か。 思い出したよ。お前の口癖だったな、それは。全くその通りだ。私の良しとする幸福が他人であるお前にわかるものか。
いや、そりゃ細かいところまではわかりませんけどね。特に女の人の幸福感なんて、
Just
それこそ危機快快ですから。
well, that might be one reason he became a priest. You know what I'm saying?
ですがほら、幸福の形は2つに大別できます。瞳子さんの場合、それすら気づいていないようですから、大変見苦しいな。
ほう。ご忠告痛み入る。腐っても兄弟子というわけか。いいぞ。聞いてやるから言ってみろ。
If it had happened to be something worthless, she would kill him. If it erased the progress she had made on her plans over the past month, or even the last 2 years, she would kill him. Toko's hostility had clearly turned to murderous rage.
当たり前のことですよ。相対的なものと絶対的なもの、比べる相手がいるかいないかが幸福の違いです。自分が穏やかであれば幸福なのか、それともどんなに満ち足りていても人より劣っていては我慢できない人間なのか。幸福の定義なんて詰まるところはその2つですよ。私が言うまでもありませんが、多くの人間はただ人より少しだけ幸せでありたいのです。
The holy man smiled calmly, wrapped in his shadowy black clothing. Toko remembered clearly now. This was a man who actually didn't believe in the true concept of happiness.
ほら、そんな殺気は収めて、シスターユイカが飛んできます。瞳子さんの幸福感は絶対的なもの。あなたは自分が確かであれば満ち足りるタイプの人だったんですけどね。他人が気になるなんて、そんな相対的な幸福感を持っているのは。
He stopped himself before he could say Aoko. The priest seemed to have spoken out of genuine concern for Toko, but his words had the opposite effect on her. Although he was reluctant to part on such ill terms, Eri knew it would be best not to anger Toko any further.
言葉が過ぎました。お許しを、ハイマスター。それでは私はこれで、あなたたちにとっていい結果になることを祈っています。
さっさと消えろ、極つぶし。最後まで陰気臭い真似をしやがって。だいたいその服装どうなんだ？街中でマントなんて羽織って敬遠されないのか？
皆さんもう慣れてくださいましたから。それに、ほら、この格好だと獲物を刺していてもバレないでしょ？
Or several, right? I'm assuming he has the black keys.
まあ、瞳子さんには見抜かれてしまいましたが。
There we go. Yep.
相手があなたですからね。
Eri turned and walked back in the direction he came from with a smile still on his face.
ふざけやがって。こっちは一本、それも担当ぐらいにし
Oh,
か
no,
抜
he
けなかっ
means
た。
different types.
そ
Interesting.
もそも3本ってなんだ？魔術師でもないくせにどうやったら隠せるんだ？
Toko muttered to herself as she thought back over the man who had just stood before her moments ago. She truly hated the fact that he had the upper hand on her, but she also felt a bit relieved. She'd actually noticed how heavily armed he was during that brief conversation. It would have been enough to instantly set off a fight. Toko wasn't sure which of them would have come out the victor if that had happened. Considering she left her bag, right? Probably him. Arid Fumitsuka had been a kind of man for as long as she had known him. He didn't need a reason or even an opponent to fight, nor did he need any connection, any kind of connection or hatred. He was just a machine that simply needed an ignition. He was just murder incarnate, no qualms about cutting someone down. Toko had only seen that side of him once. It was back when she was still a relatively happy disciple of magecraft. Toko had been standing quietly before her grandfather crying. The instant her first tears fell, without warning, without hesitation, Eri cut down their master in an instant. Oh!
なんで？どうしてあなたがあの人を切りつけたの？
いえ、今なら切れる
Oh
と
dang.
思いましたので。
Eri could not fathom how much this curt response would affect such a young Toko. He had not meant to say my opponent showed a moment of weakness and I knew I could win, so I took the opportunity. All he meant was, I felt capable of killing him, so I did. This man had become her grandfather's disciple, forged an unrivaled friendship with him, and yet had mercilessly cut him down when the desire arose. He posed some sort of superhuman ability that allowed him to destroy the mortal vessel of a mage who had been infinitely close to being a magician. Oh, wow.
ああ、ほんとうさんくさい、めんどくさい。
I know that there's apparently a lot more planned with him if they were to continue Mihoyo, so I hope we get to see that one day.
でも目障りだから絶対殺すし、魔法を奪ってからの仕事がまた一つ増えちゃったじゃない。バカエリ。
Toko put her glasses back on and turned on her heel. She completed all her major tasks for the day. All that was left was to make some money to buy food for her familiar and head back to the hideout.
ちょ、何あの乙女軸。
I don't know about that. Setting aside Bayo's mental shudder of dismay for a moment, the scent that had been bothering him for the past few days had suddenly disappeared. His employer was back to being the old Toko Ozaki he knew, and she was headed into the entertainment district. Bayo sniffed into the air. The scent had vanished, and he no longer had reason to continue tailing Toko. But where had it gone? And where had it come from in the first place? Bayo thought about it for a few moments.
さっきの男が怪しいよね。
Bayo regained his composure and decided to follow the trail of the man's scent. He had no idea where he was going was his employer's worst nightmare. Interesting. This is also way longer than I thought. This is going to definitely be more than one video. Ida Church was set up to accept visitors any time of day, any day of year. The church was the savior of the lost and the poor, and recently had even ventured into the wedding industry for some extra income. It was closely involved with the public welfare of Misaki City and was doing fairly well for itself in that regard. However, there was one problem.
エイリ神父はまた外出ですか。律香もサボタージュ。奉仕の生徒さんたちも日に日に減っていく一方。結局、労働力は私一人だけなのですね。
Even if their financial situation was stable, they seemed to be chronically understaffed.
だいたい、この町の人々は新人が足りなさすぎます。給金がなければ働けないなど、人生を何だと思っているのでしょう。物欲だけで構成された一日を過ごしていては、懐は豊かになっても、心が貧しくなるだけでしょうに。
Alright, can you eat the joys of labor? No? The nun muttered to herself quietly as she picked up the stepladder with one hand. Although it was a proper stepladder they used for cleaning the church windows and weighed too much to be carried by even two strong adults, the mass didn't seem to faze her.
人々の心の荒廃も気になりますが、物価の上昇も捨ておきません。消費税なるものの導入もささやかれますし、エイリ神父にはもっと一日で驚異的な成果を上げる結婚式の素晴らしさを知っていただかないと。あの人は誰彼何彼気分で世話をして、後のこととか考えませんから。裏庭に集まった野良猫たちはどうするんですか？ああ、私ですね。それも私が受け持つのですね。もう何でもかんでも肉体労働は私なのですね。
It is really funny imagining this, like, ripped nun just ranting to herself while carrying a ladder. This nun mumbling to herself at a near constant pace was Sister Yuika Susei. There was a reason for her unusual behavior. Yuka was completely blind and had honed her other senses to keenly perceive her surroundings. She was extremely sensitive to the presence of living creatures, particularly humans, and could detect when someone was within a radius of 30 feet. The reason why she was talking to herself so openly now was because she did not sense anyone was near.
今日の余り物はと。ああ、もらい物でジャムの詰め合わせがありましたね。どうなのでしょう、主よ。猫って2日経った岩のように硬いパンでもペーストすればいける口なんでしょうか。玉ねぎだけは出すなと律香が言っていた気がしますが。
Sister Yuika was busy putting away the cleaning tools while simultaneously trying to prepare dinner for the hungry animals mewing in the back garden, when suddenly...
おや？新しい迷子ですか？
She said among us. I just saw that. Sister Yuika suddenly sensed the presence of a small dog in the church.
ごめんなさい。今日は猫限定の日なの。君が混ざってしまったら猫どもが驚くわ。餌ならここで恵んであげますから、中に入るのはまた今度にしてくださいね。それ以上入ったら、向かいの家の屋根あたりまでご退場願いますよ。
She put her foot in front of the small brown dog to stop him from coming in any further inside the church's gate. Yuika was somewhat rougher in her treatment of non-human creatures.
何この神気臭い生き物。
Bayo, who'd convinced himself to transform into a small dog instead of the wolf he really wanted to, only saw Sister Yuika as an obstacle in his way. He could smell the scent of the man in black ahead, further inside. Bayo thought little of humans, and in this moment, Sister Yuika was simply an obstacle. So naturally, he ignored her warnings and attempted to push through the gate.
なんでしょうこの色。
Sorry, can you smell color?
この子すごい色しています。
Sorry, what?
もしかして高級な品種なのでしょうか。
Can you sense the vibrations of colors or something? How? He might be some wealthy person's pet. Since the dog came to the church, its rich owner might also attend church services. We could stop trying to push the dog away from the gate.
ごめんなさいね。エイリ神父が目当てなんでしょうけど、また出かけてしまったの。今日一番の餌をあげますから。
Watch him just be hiding in the
おと
back,
なしく帰ってくださいませ。
like, you know, reading comics, and she doesn't know.
ああ、もう邪魔。この神気臭い人。よし、周りに誰もいないし、首を噛み折ろ。
Bayo's front legs stopped suddenly before he can launch himself at Sister Yuika. Pop! Sister Yuika opened the lid of a bottle she held and poured out a glimmering liquid into a small dish. She set it down in front of the dog.
ほら、お食べ。
The mysterious, unknown liquid sat in front of Bayo. It smelled like nothing he'd ever smelled before. Bayo was known to let curiosity get the best of him. Even if it was poison, no poison in the natural world could harm him. He lapped up a mouthful.
何
He lapped up a little more.
この
He lapped up even more.
味。
Did you give the dog wine? He lapped up more and more.
おや、牛乳を飲むような舐めっぷり。犬ながら惚れ惚れします。
But what is it? What did you put in there?
これ、もっと欲しい。
The church became filled with the echoes of Bayo's boisterous barking. At this point, he'd completely forgotten about the man's scent.
甘いですか？私も感動しました。
What is it?
犬どもにも甘味をたしなむ心があるのですね。
What did you give him?
甘い。これが甘いってこと？
Bayo looked up at Sister Yuika as she whispered to him. He had the feeling that sweet was an important word he should remember. The food sent a sensation through him like it was a flash of lightning. Until this point, eating food had been nothing more than a process of refueling. He liked hamburgers, but that never amounted to more than a preference for a particular mouthfeel. He only ate because he needed the nutrition. But this was different. This food was not necessary to his survival. And yet, he knew he wanted more. He didn't really need it, but it made him feel good. It was like food for his soul rather than his body. Oh god, the church and soul food. What is this? Is this Sakura Wars?
そもそもこの匂いって。
He stopped wagging his tail. The golden wolf in the form of a small dog sat with the food that was the very origin of the name in front of him. That was the very origin of the name. Beowulf was faced with a difficult problem he was unable to solve. Wait, what? What do you mean, named after? Wait, what? What does that mean? The very food that was the very origin of his name. Beowulf? What is that? What? Beowulf. I'm very confused. Beowulf origin name? What does Beowulf? Honey. Beowulf comes from the name Beowulf. Literally B-E-E wolf. So it's honey. Why does she smell like honey?
ただいま。
はい。お帰りなさい、ベオくん。遅いお帰りにお姉さん心配しちゃった。こんな時間まで無断外出とか心配したぞ。教育係兼飼い主としてバッボーイしなくちゃいけないから。
Beo had transformed back into human form and returned to the workshop. Toko was waiting there for him with a big, strained smile on her face.
あ、そうか。
Bayo knew he had messed up. He had failed to get back home before Toko because of sister Yuika.
星座は嫌です。そりゃ無断で外に出てたけど、誰にも見つかってないし。
誰にも見つかっていない？ってことはベオくん、裏山で遊んでたの？
裏山じゃなくて町。気づかなかったでしょ。実はトウコさんを尾行していただけなのです。
That's gonna make it worse, buddy. Toko froze at Bayo's completely unexpected response. But she was used to him by now. She just sighed and rubbed her head, now throbbing from a terrible headache.
いいでしょう。見つからなければいたずらじゃないと教えたのは私だしね。
That's true.
主人の尾行禁止とは命令していなかったし。今回の尾行については不問に付します。でも、どうやって人目を避けたの？その格好だったらさすがに気づくと思うんだけど、私。
そこは企業秘密です。教えたら今日みたいなトウコさんもう見れなくなっちゃうし。
That's a
楽し
face.
そうだったよね。
Toko's response was both honest and out of character. Even Bayo was surprised at how taken aback she was by his statement.
それは違う。どんな勘違いをしたのか知らないけど、あれはただの交渉よ。教会の神父相手に町を人質に見立てて不干渉を念押ししただけで。
いや、楽しそうに見えたのは女の人の方だけど、あの全身ぐるぐる巻きに自分を縛ってた方。
Woman and Wolf stared at each other for a silent moment. Bayo looked satisfied with himself and his secret information.
つまり、あれってトウコさんのつがい
Toko nearly choked at his utterly fearless question. The puppet master wordlessly removed her glasses and tamped down her emotions.
なんでそんな言葉だけ知ってるんだお前は。耳戸島にも程があるぞ。
Dude's an animal. They literally know about breeding from birth.
そんなの生き物として普通の言葉じゃない。
Yeah.
まあ、トウコさんが普通の生き物だとは思っていなかったから。それでどうなの？あのパッとしないポテトみたいなオス。
It's not how I would describe him at all. Bayo was suddenly irritated. He was irritated, but he couldn't figure out why.
何も何も、お前の言う通り、しなびたフライドポテトだよ。少なくとも私にとってはね。
ほんと？ただの敵？トウコさんにとって特別なのは僕だけ？
ああ、今のところはね、焼けぼっくいに火がつくかとも思ったが、完全にしけっていた。
Huh.
あれを前にしてどうこう思うのは、もう二度とないだろうさ。
So she did have feelings for him. Interesting.
そっか。なんでもないならもう忘れることにします。でも、焼けぼっくいって何？
思い出を蒸し返して前後不覚に陥ること。まあ、その可能性だって少しはあったと思うよ。
Oh, wow.
あんなんでも私の初恋の相手のようだし。
So everyone who told me that Toko liked women, no. I mean, she might, but not exclusively.
Huh?
Bayo had no first-hand experience with love, but at least he understood the concept of a first love.
初恋ってトウコさんに？
つがいはありで初恋はなしとか、どれだけ私を動物的に見ているんだお前。昔の話だよ。私が10代になったばかりで、あれが祖父の弟子だった頃の話だ。奴は魔術ではなく精神修行の一環として祖父と付き合っていたが。
To be fair, if the person I fell in love with had just killed my grandfather, attacked him, I would also not be very happy, and probably in that. Toko spoke indifferently, and it was clear from the look on her face that there was no longer any attachment there. Then again, maybe she saw that and immediately went, I think I like girls now. That could also happen. Yet there was still a tenderness in her words that caused Bayo to furrow his brow.
トウコさん、まだ好きなわけ？
いや、自分でも呆れるぐらい何もなかった。ただ青春の幻影というのかな。そういう頃の象徴のような知人とは話すだけで懐かしいものなんだよ。人間的には全く魅力を感じなくなったが、奴と話しているだけでこう昔の自分を思い返して笑いたくなる。
Bayo grew only more confused as Toko spoke with such passion. He couldn't wrap his head around the concept that she hated him, yet somehow also liked him.
そういうの。
お前には好き嫌いがないからな。ロジックだけじゃ人の関係は解けないよ。
そんなのあります。食べ物だって襟好みするじゃんか僕。
お前の基準は有益か無益かだけだろ。野生動物にとって味覚は十分な栄養値があるかないかを測るセンサーでしかない。
Big if true, didn't know about that.
栄養値を度外視して食事をとるのは人間だけだ。自分の体に合っているからその食材を好むではないんだよ。人は楽しいか楽しくないかで食事をとる。
甘いもの。好きなものって甘く見えるの？
ものの例えだが苦くは見えないだろ。まあ人によってはそれもありだが。そのあたりはあれだな。卵が先か鶏が先かの話さ。好きだから甘いのか、甘いから好きなのかとね。
でも僕、トウコさんは甘く見えないけど。
そりゃそうだろう。そもそもお前はまだ生きていないからな。
To be fair, I'd use the word spicy more to describe her.
あるだけのものと生きていることはまた皮肉な話だがね。その違いを知ったとき、お前は無敵ではなくなるよ。さあ、夕食だ。今日も大勝ちしたからな。
Ooh,
霜降りのいいところを買ってきたぞ。
that's Wagyu. Toko walked into the classroom, back in her usual mood. Bayo lingered in the hallway looking dejected. You're not actually alive. It's like when Eddie the Mean Old Yeti tells Donkey Kong, "You no exist." And it shakes Donkey Kong to his core. It's just like that. Those words pierced right through Bayo's heart, but he didn't quite know why yet. 3 weeks would pass before he got a hint of why that was the case. Lou Beowulf was perfect, and yet he would lose at the hands of a particularly imperfect creature. Wow, this is long, actually. Jeez. Thought that'd be where it ended. The sound of a phone ringing echoed through the empty halls of the school. It was January, and both the mage who had remodeled the building and the magician who had expelled her from it were long gone. The telephone that Toko had installed on a whim rang and rang without letting up, as if for sure that someone was there to answer it.
うるさいな。
Something rustled inside. There were definitely no people inside the school building, but there was one non-human creature sleeping there.
はい、こちらが蘭の堂第二出張店。
Really? Really? The Hollow Shrine being Toko's agency from Garden of Sinners.
店主は尻尾巻いて逃げ出した後ですので、ご用のある方は発信音の後にメッセージを。トウコさん？うん。はいはい。どうぞ行ってらっしゃい。僕のことはお構いなく。
That's a cat face. You're not a cat. You can't do that. The classroom was occupied by a young boy with blonde hair. Even before the phone rang, he was in human form. It used to be that when he was alone, he would always doze off in his wolf form, but not anymore. There was no real reason for him to stay in this human form, but he did anyway. It was now his normal state of being when he was not in combat.
じゃ、必要になったら呼んでよね。契約は切れたけど、僕はまだトウコさんの使い魔だし。うん、そう。嫌味なんかじゃないって。狼はね、誇り高いんだよ。トウコさん以上の雇い主が見つかるまで、首輪はそっちに預けておきます。
Bayo couldn't help but wonder where Toko was traveling. She had accepted her loss and ended her contract with her familiar. She said it was because she hadn't fulfilled her promise to let him fight magic. However, that was actually the fault of her familiar and not her responsibility at all. Bayo had not fulfilled his duty as her bodyguard yet.
で、トウコさんは今どこ？
It was the name of a country he wasn't familiar with. After the battle, she had promptly left Japan to develop a way to break the curse.
何が敗北を認めただよ。それって、まだ諦めてないってことじゃん。
Toko laughed on the other end of the line. Somehow Bayo sensed a tropical scent coming through the phone. Whether that was a mystical effect of Toko's handcrafted phone or the werewolf's super senses wasn't clear.
じゃ、さっさと帰ってきてね。僕はこっちに残ってるから。
Where could she have
お
gone?
い、
Toko asked him why. He had really decided to stay on as her familiar. There was no reason for him to stay there.
実は僕もよくわかんない。
As he stumbled over his words, Bayo patted his chest a few times and remembered the pain he had felt.
まあ、なんと言いましょうか。ここにいれば、甘いってどんなものか、わかるような気がするのです。
The wolf, who had learned to accept being wasteful, expressed his future goal in a happy voice. Thus concluded an exceptionally rare case of first love, sweet as honey. Nice. Honey glazed meat. Anyone can sleep but not laugh. All right, we have one final story for next time. I don't know how long it is. So my question is, Nasuverse, who is Asagi? Cause there's Asagami, right? But I don't know who Asagi is. Because there's Asagi. I'm trying to think of if there's anyone with the name Asagi that I could point out, right? Wasn't that... Am I thinking of the Tono branch families? Wasn't there an Asagi in one of the Tono branch families? Arima, Kishima, Tozaki, and Kugamine. No, right? Yeah, never mind. No. I don't know. Maybe we'll learn. Maybe that is the last character still, right? Maybe that's the last character we still gotta learn about when we go to our config here, right? Because there's no other Asagi here. So we'll have to see. Alright, well, thank you guys for watching, and next time... Whoa, jeez. Like I said, I apologize if my reading was a bit off. I'm on some crazy drugs right now to fix some problems with my brain. Not depression pills. I'm used to those. It's other stuff. But yeah, we'll be back next time to probably actually finish it up with the second and final extra story. So we'll see you guys next time for that. Ciao.